Hi to all my loyal followers and also those who might be newly arrived at my channel. This particular tip is about growing vegetables in ornamental or decorative parts of your garden rather than in a dedicated vegetable garden. Now, I don't actually do this, I don't need to because I have large vegetable gardens. However, it is possible to do that as long as you follow some of these tips that I'm going to explain. So the reasons why it isn't necessarily an easy solution is partly because perennial plants and shrubs will naturally be left in the ground for a number of years, and they will spread their roots throughout the soil surrounding it. So if you go and plant some vegetables randomly amongst them, then they're going to be competing with those existing plants. And vegetables have got a very high need for nutrients and water and also light. And they will not be able to compete with those ornamental plants which are established. There is a second reason, and that is because you're not so likely to keep a close eye on your ornamental gardens as your vegetables. Yesterday, for example, I did an intensive and careful watering of all my vegetable gardens. I went up and down. I have done a tip on hand watering a garden, which you can look at. I'll link that below. I went up and down carefully. I was monitoring the plants, made sure that they were damp, made sure there weren't weeds competing with them. I don't do that with my flower gardens. I might only water them at this time of the year once a fortnight, and once in a month perhaps I'll go and do some weeding amongst them because they're much more forgiving of competition. A third reason is more minor, and that is some vegetables take up a lot of room. Zucchini, cauliflower, potatoes for example. If you grow them in an ornamental garden and then you remove them, you're going to leave an enlarged and unsightly gap. And even if you plant another vegetable there straight away, it is going to take quite a while to fill that gap. And so that might be a bit of a glaring omission in your garden. There are, on the other hand, some benefits to actually growing vegetables in your ornamental gardens. One is predator control. So the flowers that you grow will draw parasitoids and predators more so than you'll normally get in a vegetable garden itself. Also, the fact that you're growing them amongst the ornamental plants means that the pest insects quite often find it a lot harder to actually locate the plant. They can smell them from a distance. If it's a long row of vegetables, it's very easy for them to land and lay their eggs. But if the plants are among ornamental plants or decorative plants, then they struggle. They can't really tell where the plant is. They land, they might have failed, they realize this, they take off. After a while, they can give up and go away. So it has been shown that you will actually get less insect attack in mixed garden situations rather than a monocultural one. Now, there are some tips that you can do to grow vegetables in your decorative gardens, so let's get into it. Some vegetables are attractive and enhance a garden setting. A prime example is parsley, a plant with a compact habit and deep green leaves. Jenny grows parsley plants in her gorgeous hanging baskets. These are well fertilized and watered, so there isn't a problem getting these plants to grow well. Likewise, carrots have fluffy green tops which you can set off a flower garden. A few spring onions or scallions contrast effectively with flowering plants with their vertical grey-green foliage. It's possible to employ the square foot garden concept, keeping a small area in an ornamental garden free from flowers and growing a succession of plants, possibly unobtrusively. Examples of vegetables that can be grown in this regime are radishes, carrots, beetroot and leeks. Between each succession, you could chop down deeply on all sides of the bed with a spade to prevent the roots of the surrounding plants from invading and competing with the vegetables. This may not be necessary if you're growing annual flowers or bedding plants in the bed. These have a less invasive root system. Another possibility is to use this plot for a no-dig gardening regime, adding a layer of organic matter to the surface and grow your vegetables in this, free from competition from the roots of neighbouring plants which won't have invaded this media. Some vegetables are suited to pot culture. A few lettuces or carrots can be grown in an ornamental container. Potatoes can be grown the same way, planted in the lower part of a pot or bag with potting medium gradually added to encourage tuber formation. Tomatoes, peas, climbing beans and cucumbers can also be grown in a pot and trained up a wall or stake against a wall. Tomato plants can be very attractive grown this way with their bright red fruits. Be aware that vegetables in pots require diligent feeding and watering. Also, the seasonal nature of these plants means that the chosen area will be bare of plants for much of the year. So I promote having a cluster of pot plants, including vegetables, using the thriller, filler and spiller approach. See my tip on a community of pot plants linked below. Several salad greens are very undemanding and may even naturalize in a flower garden. Purslane will flourish in a dry sunny spot among succulent plants, and Miner's lettuce will thrive in damp shaded patches of the ornamental garden over winter. Swiss chard or silver beet will grow vigorously with little care and can crop over a long period. A few vegetables can be grown as a permanent feature plant. A prime example is rhubarb, a vigorous plant with striking foliage. Be aware that rhubarb has a high need for nutrients and water, so can't be neglected for long periods. So I hope you get a few ideas from this. Now, I will link here beside me just a list of the different groups of tips that I'm covering. So there's 25 in total, different areas, vegetables, fruit, but also looking after your soil, managing a water garden, landscape design concepts. Altogether, they are building up to an integrated approach to every aspect of gardening and landscaping. So at this stage of filming this one, I'm on to number 83, I think it is. I am planning to have in total 204 over time. And I'm gradually starting to fill in the gaps. You can see on this other chart, I have quite a wide range of vegetables covered, and I also am now going through different aspects of general approaches to vegetable garden, such as growing vegetables in your decorative garden, as I'm talking about here, but also aspects about companion plants amongst vegetables, and also having seasonal continuity, for example. So be sure to subscribe and like this tip so that you're sure to see others as they become online, and also share this with others who you think might be interested in my channel. And of course, finally, as always, thank you very much for watching this through to the end.